Alright, what's up guys? Here we go. This video is going to be about the transition from summer to fall. So there's no fish actual catching in this video, just an informative video of some stuff like how bait fish move and the lures that you should be throwing this time of the year, and show you a couple pit stops they make, and that is where you need to set up shop. They're going to be there, you just got to find them. But yes, let's get into this. I drew up some stuff, a map of lake or main points, just to show you, give you a visual about this transition stage and how the fish are going to move. And got this little drawing I made, okay? So here is the main lake, and then I drew a cove. Just know that this is your bait fish out on the main lake, okay? Those X's are going to be your bass, the fish you're targeting. So during this transition stage, when the cooler temperatures start to come around, those bait fish no longer need to be in the middle of the lake in the main. They know the weather is changing, it's time for us to move up. So where are they going to travel first? They're going to go and push up to this main point. A main point is like the first point, you know, right out of the main, and it's usually facing the main. Those bait fish are going to go over there. That right there is where you are going to find bass, your predator fish. It may have some rock piles on it, okay? And that's exactly where your bass are going to be sitting, in that rock pile. And that's going to be your first spot to assume where fish are going to be. Later on, it gets colder and colder. If they're not there that day, go back deeper. Go to the secondary point. That right there is the secondary point, that little hump. That is going to be your new spot. You're going to also want to fish all around there, okay? That's where all of your bass are going to be. Now, the closer and closer we get to winter, the further and further this bait ball is going to go back into those coves. So now that I've showed you how these fish are going to move, I'm going to show you another drawing. Now I know it looks like a bunch of lines, okay? So bear with me. This is still the main. Purple is going to be your deep water, more than we should fish. And your blue is going to be your shallow, so like 25 to 0 range. You need to figure out on your graph how to find these areas. The marina will offer a paper map. Go pick one up if you have to. This is showing you where shelves are, drop-offs are, your river bottoms and stuff like that. Again, we have this drawing of the same scenario, okay? Your main point. So right here, why are they holding up right here? When the bait ball is coming, it's just shallow enough and just deep enough so they can transition down or back up as they're willing to do so. So it's the morning, you're out there on your boat, right? This bait ball's moving up. You're pulling up on this spot. You start seeing fish going crazy, right? First thing you need to do, you're gonna wanna throw the Whopper Flopper with the 130. If it's dirty water, you know, work your way to those dark colors, blacks. And if you're in a clear lake, throw a transparent one just like this. This is the River to Sea Whopper Plopper. If you notice they're not really hitting that too well, lower it. Go to the Whopper Plopper 90. Again, it's transparent, but it's blue back herring on it. The gunfish is super, super effective. Say you don't have a whole lot of money to spend. This bait is a killer for dirt cheap. And I'm not saying the brand's cheap. The Head and Spook is awesome. And it's that bone color. For some reason, bone kills it when it's small. We just talked about those fish were moving up. They're busting on the surface on this area right here. But say it starts to slow down, right? So you're seeing fish bust, but you're not catching them on top water too often anymore. This is when you go to crankbait. Get a little bit deeper, a 5 to 10 range crankbait, preferably a square bill. They usually don't dive as deep. This one is a Sproles, and it only dives 10 feet. It's not too big, it's not too small from this angle, but boom, it's skinny. This is a Storm, and this is the Silver Shad, silver back to it, and then that flat gray body. And this dives 10 feet. And this is not a square bill though. I just like getting this smaller profile down past all of the little fish and straight down to the bigger fish. And usually I catch the bigger fish hanging out on the bottom below the school. So that's a good bait to go to. Say now they've completely shut off on top water. You're kind of getting hit on the crankbaits I just showed you, but not too much. Crank deeper, that's all they're doing. They're moving. They've gone back down, they're moving. Start cranking deeper. They're a little bit more shyer about coming back up to the surface. They've kind of moved on, getting tired, blah, blah, blah. Go a little bit deeper, hone in on them, throw some more crankbaits. My next lure choice is going to be the jerkbait, okay? So the jerkbait, you're still gonna work around the same area, okay? You're gonna work all this stuff around the same area. But with a jerkbait, what I like to do, figure out if those fish are holding shallow or holding deep. Usually I go straight to the deep end. I'll put my boat 30 feet of water and I'll throw all the way up to 10 feet and I'll burn it for a little bit and then stop and then start working my cadence, my twitch, pause. You want to bring that jerkbait from that shallow over to that deep. You really, really, really want your jerkbait to go over that cliff, bait, to jerk, 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 shallow, and then boom, the moment it goes right over that shelf and those fish are looking up already because they have just experienced top water and all that, from 15 feet, jerk, 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 now there's a big gap in between. You got 20 feet of water in between, and these fish are swimming down here like just looking up but holding, and it's jerking, 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 jerking. Now you're all of a sudden at 15 feet with your jerkbait because you just worked all your way down. Leave it there, let it sit, jerk it again, keep it down there as long as you can. Eventually one of those fish are gonna look up and see this thing on its own, and they're just gonna come up and they're gonna hit it. They're gonna nail it, they're gonna smash it. If you're throwing jerkbaits up shallow, you're gonna wanna stick with like a Rapala, a short nose to it, a short bill. This, I believe, only goes like 3 to 5 feet or something like that. It's only got the 2 treble hooks, so if you're throwing shallow, that's what you're going to want to throw. Other than that, I don't really throw up shallow with the jerkbaits too much. I usually hit deeper water. I go to the 15-foot range. If you have 10-pound fluorocarbon on these specific Rapala jerkbaits, you can get these to 15 feet. I've gotten these to 15 feet. This is probably one of my favorites. It's a Livingston. Again, this can dive to 15 feet, except for this is that Tennessee shad, I believe, by Livingston, and it has its own sound to it when you get it going. So I don't know if you can hear that. This is a great lure to own, the Livingston in that Tennessee shad pattern. And then, you know, just experiment. Get a minnow one, get a variation of whites. You got white on orange, white on chartreuse. Every single one of these lures, I have caught multiple fish off of them. So remember, when working with a jerkbait, we're slowing down. Don't kill it with the jerkbait and just like, oh, there's no fish there, reel it in. Oh, there's no fish there, reel it in. You really have to throw it out there as far as you can so it can get down and stay in that strike zone. We've covered about everything, but last but not least, there's another bait ball. It's a killer. Bass love it. It's full of protein. Crawdad. Now you got your secondary bait fish on the back of your mind. I start getting away from football jigs. I start, you know, throwing stand-up jigs. Here I have a stand-up jig. It sits perfectly in my hand. Why is this important? Why is this better than a football jig? In this time frame, they're coming out of those holes. If you have a trailer on there, like a crawl trailer, those appendages are gonna stick straight up and it's gonna look like it's just coming out of its home. And they're slowly making their way up to the surface to get shallower, where the warmer water is, where they can find rocks to hide in because they give off heat. And because they give off heat, that's where crawdad are gonna make their new home. I really like Texas rigging. To mimic a crawdad, this is one of my favorite methods to do. I've got Boss bullet weights, and why I like Boss bullet weights, they're not your normal bullet weight. So as this skirt has a hole made, slide it on over. Now you got this skirt that you can trim if you want or do whatever you please to with. And now I add a craw to it. Usually I have a 5/0 hook on, and now you got this beautiful shindig right here. In my opinion, one of the best ways to fish. Flip it or toss it, whatever you need to do, always in that isolated cover. So that wraps up this video. I hope you guys learned from this. I hope you like my drawings. This stage right here is already begun. It's beginning right now. Okay, so the time to crankbait is right now. I hope you like this informative video. Don't forget to check out some of my latest videos. Like, comment, subscribe. Have a good day.